Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the pleasure and the honor of having Jim Sullivan with eDiscovery.ai. That's right, another AI product out here. I like to be on the cutting edge, so we're going to figure out what this is about and how it can help your practice and make you more efficient. So welcome to the show, Jim.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the eDiscovery, but I want to know more about you.
I'm basically just a tech nerd and a lawyer. I graduated from college with a computer science degree and then went to law school for a while and then got a job kind of as a, mix between the two, and always been a huge fan of technology. I always loved new things coming out. So as AI came out, we really jumped on it, and it's so good for so many of the problems that we come across in the legal industry that we just see that this is a really good fit for embracing technology to save time, save money, make everything better.
So what made you come up with this idea with eDiscovery, and then tell me how it works?
Yeah, so I worked in eDiscovery for about 10 years, a lot of experience with basically using technology to help with eDiscovery problems. And I left to run my own business, software business, and we started building AI tools for clients. We worked for, with plumbers, electricians, painters, house cleaners, all of these small businesses. And there's just so many great uses of AI to streamline their business, generate autoresponders, identify qualified leads based on having AI sort of vet them. And once we started playing around with this, it sort of just hit me that this would be a great solution for eDiscovery problems as well. And started rolling out tests, trying different things. And yeah, it absolutely is the best technology we've ever seen. It can do things, it can solve problems that we didn't have solutions to in the past.
Okay, give me some examples.
So our core technology is basically reviewing documents for eDiscovery purposes. You have a discovery and you need to turn over all your relevant documents, or you've received relevant documents from the other party and you need to go through them and identify what you're going to use for your case, what you need to produce, all of that. And so this can just review documents and classify them and determine what's relevant and hot and important for your case without humans needing to intervene at all. You just describe what it is that you're looking for. You want to find documents where the defendant said X, Y, and Z, or somebody suggested this, or somebody was mad at somebody else. It will be able to identify all of those documents that are related to particular issues and pull them out for you. So then you can review them, determine if you want to use them for your case, use them for deposition prep or trials or whatever you need.
So I guess something like if you had a dram shop case and you want to know every time the word alcohol is used or drunk or...
yes, that would be a very easy implementation, because it even is more if you're, let's just say you're dealing with a case where someone was alleged to have been fixing prices or something, and they're using a lot of language. They're not going to say, hey, let's fix prices, guys, or they're going to hint at it in ways that are using kind of coded language in a lot of instances. And so the AI can review documents and detect whether or not somebody is suggesting or encouraging or promoting certain ideas. And it even understands like the sentiment of when someone's angry or someone's applying, kind of pressure, or even, if someone's being sarcastic in the emotional piece as well. But so you can really do a deep analysis on, find me any document where anyone at this organization was suggesting that, pricing should be fixed for, whatever reasons. It's smart enough to really be as good as a person is at identifying the documents that you want for that type of issue. And that's the piece that's really cool, where it's not just like, find me documents that are containing certain keywords, as much as find me documents that are discussing ideas that are important to my case. Find me a document where this person is, conspiring with this party to do X, Y, and Z. So that it just goes so much further than anything we've ever done. And frankly, it can review documents better than I can. We've tested it on a number of different hypothetical cases as well as real cases. And I review documents, it reviews documents, and I have never done better than it has in identifying what's relevant and important to a case.
So I guess what the deal is, somebody sends you over their answers and their requests and the documents, then you just feed it into your software?
Yeah, so if you have a request for production, you can just take that and say, I'm requesting all documents that relate to, pricing of widgets between April and June of whatever year. We can feed that into the system and it will find you every document that's responsive to that request.
And I guess you call it eDiscovery. Is this most of the discovery is sent through, it's not paper anymore. It's all done through emails.
So our core technology really is basically going through electronic data and finding what's relevant to a certain request or what's relevant to your case. And that can be using it to review text in an email or a Word doc or PDF. We can also review images of any kind. You want to find any image where someone's, holding a gun, whatever type of thing you want to look for, and as well as audio files. So if you have voicemails and other audio clips, it can review those just as well. It's just really incredible how well it handles a lot of situations that we had struggled with in the past. Things like, like audio and images, but also things like text messages and short messages and things where people are misspelling things or using slang or using emojis and talking in a way that's a little bit not as straightforward about what their intentions are. And that's something that really is just a complete game changer. But there are so many other use cases outside of eDiscovery for AI tools like this. We're using it to identify inappropriate content in file collection or in image collections and video collections. We're using it to identify copyright infringement in images where you're comparing images to see whether or not something possibly is matching to a point where it would violate copyright. We're even using it on construction cases where we're taking a look at security camera footage and we're identifying situations where someone's not wearing a hard hat or possibly the Tyvek wrap around a building is torn where it might cause water damage. And so anytime you have any set of data, whether it's emails, texts, images, audio, even video, and you want to identify certain things about it, AI is just such a great tool to be able to sort through and classify those documents.
So this has been out, how long? You said you've been out over a year?
Our company's been around for about a year and a half. We actually launched July of last year, so just coming up on a year now of having this technology available.
I guess firms are using it now.
So we have begun to move through that process with the larger firms. Smaller firms have been able to use it without much concern, but the larger firms are really vetting the technology carefully. Most of the time we have to run it through a POC before anyone's going to use it. And we're going through the process of running through POCs as well as the security audits of those larger firms and ventures that just take a lot of time. I think our average onboarding time now is about 4 to 6 months for a larger Fortune 500 company, but smaller firms are absolutely using it without much concern.
And what's the POC? Because I don't know what it is.
Yeah, sorry. That just means basically a proof of concept where they're going to take, they've been running cases like this for decades, and they're going to take an older case that they ran when they had humans review it, and they're going to have AI review the exact same documents for the exact same issues, and then compare to see who's better, and the AI wins by a landslide every time.
So I know what everybody's thinking now, what I'm always thinking. So is this too expensive for a small firm?
No, I mean, it's really going to be on a per doc basis. So a smaller firm with fewer docs is going to cost a lot less than a large firm with a huge volume of documents. There's no minimums or requirements as far as, case size or matter. So it's just a per document cost based on how many documents get reviewed and the size of your data set. So, and images are about half the price of text. So no, if you have a 10 million document data set, certainly it's going to cost a decent amount of money. But if you have a relatively small matter, rather than having to look through the documents yourself, you could just have AI review them all for you. So what we try to do is right now we're trying to get at half the price, and we are getting there. We're currently at half the price of what a human would cost to review those documents. And when I say human, I mean like a contract attorney who's coming in to review docs for you, which usually we're seeing now in the range of like $30 to $40 an hour is probably the average cost of that person. And the AI can review documents at a cost about half as much and at a speed of about 100 times faster.
So if somebody's interested in this, first before that, what else about it that I hadn't asked you or that you think our listeners, these lawyers out here, would like to know about it? How can it? I know it can save them time, it can save them money.
Well, I think what's important is just understanding AI in the law. I mean, not typing our tool in any way as much as just understanding that AI is out there, that it can do so many incredible things in the legal industry. I mean, I can have it write me a brief, I can have it write me a motion, I can have it give me a list of arguments to make on specific cases. I can have it do research, and it's really incredible. So it's just something I think that people should be aware of, that, hey, let's start seeing how we can implement this. Use it to generate brainstorming ideas. That's something I just think that all lawyers kind of have to start realizing, that this is the most powerful tool that we've ever seen, and that it can do things that we never thought were ever possible. And I don't think that, my use case or reviewing documents is necessarily the best first step, as much as just going and signing up for a service like Claude or ChatGPT and saying, write me a brief about X, Y, and Z, review this motion and come up with arguments against it. Just so many things that you can do to start getting comfortable with the technology. And once you start seeing how powerful it is, what we're doing is kind of the next step in how you can use it in the larger matters. And when you come across that, that large case where you have gigabytes of data and you just don't have the time to go through it, then you already know how AI works. You already understand how good it is, and now we can use it to classify your docs.
Are you talking to any big mass tort firm?
Mass tort, I don't have a lot of insight into what types of cases our larger clients are using it on. They basically just have dozens of matters across the board, and then they just are looking for things in each of them without really understanding which types. But certainly it can handle any type of case where you're looking for information to help support your claims. Sorry.
So my question was, are you talking to any big mass tort firms? Because they get flooded with documents. I mean, just crazy stuff.
Yeah, no, and we are. And for the most part, it doesn't really even matter what type of case it is. Anytime you're looking for documents that are related to a certain topic, or you're trying to investigate certain issues, it can find the docs you're looking for. So what I kind of describe to people is, anytime you're just looking for information, AI can do better than any human can. But then it's your job to then take what AI has found and to read the documents and understand how now you're going to implement that into your case strategy and plan and whatever you're going to do with it. So it's really just there for the classification piece. We're not quite at a point where it's able to really evaluate and put together those arguments as well as a person can yet. So we don't want to replace the people, for everything as much as.
And I think, here's what I'm seeing. I mean, I think some lawyers are embracing it and some are a little scared, just to be honest with you, because I think what really pushed it back a couple of notches was when that lawyer in New York wrote a brief and had cases decided that were not cases. And I think that pushed, well, I know, but it really hurt, because I had a lot of people in my masterminds. Well, I'm going to wait till it gets a little further along, because I don't want to be, I don't want to get busted by a judge.
Well, my answer for that is always, did you think you could just have AI write you stuff and hand it in without reading it? Because you can't. I mean, I hope we all understand that. Like, you still have to read it and confirm that all the cases are legit and the arguments are solid and everything's done. It's just like if you go to Google and you search for, boilerplate contracts or something, you're looking for information. You can't just copy and paste that and hand it in. You have to actually review it to make sure it matches what you're looking for. And then, so it's not there to do the work for you. It's not there to create a brief that you then hand in. It's there to create a draft that then you can use as your starting point to actually have something that you turn in. And that's something I think most people understand that. I don't think that a lot of people are having AI generate briefs, motions, whatever it is, and then blindly handing them in. Just like I don't think people are copying contracts off of Google and blindly using them. I think that most attorneys know that they are responsible for the quality of the work that they do. They have to make sure that they're reviewing it. And frankly, AI is not good enough to do it that way. But if you can have AI create a brief for you, and then you can read through it and you can add a couple paragraphs or clauses and you can remove a couple things, and now you have a final product and it got you 90% of the way there, that's a huge win. It's not much different than using a paralegal to write you a draft that then you review and then you determine how to use it. But the idea that, AI hallucinates and it can't be trusted is not something that I think should discourage anyone from using it, because you're always going to confirm that what it wrote was correct and accurate.
Well, I think you said something accurate before we started this, is that it's not to replace people. It's to make your job easier, to be more efficient, to save time. And I think that's the misnomer, or whatever you want to say, the fallacy, that everybody thinks it's going to replace their jobs. And It's not. I don't think it ever will.
Well, it depends what your job is. If your job is to just classify a document and not think at all about this case strategy, then maybe. But if your job is to write briefs and motions, yeah, no, we're not there. I don't think anyone is implying that we're even close to that yet. And when I think about, you're sitting down to write, you say you have to write a motion of some kind. Now, you have two options. One option is you start from scratch and you start writing. Another option might be you take a previous motion you wrote and kind of use that as your starting point. Another option is you can have AI write a motion for you that then you can use as your starting point. But each of those options is a starting point that you are then going to take and now put together what your final product is. And you're certainly not just going to blindly assume that what you have is perfect. You're just using that as a draft or an outline or a basis that you can begin working on. But end of the day, what you create still has to be yours. You're the one that's responsible for the work product. You're the one that's responsible for every citation. If it creates a motion and it cites cases that you're not familiar with, you have to read those. You have to look them up and make sure that they are legitimate and they are accurate. And frankly, if this is your case, you should be reading those, because if that case is important to your arguments, you need to know what the case is about so you can understand those arguments better. So to me, it seems like something that I think most attorneys already understand and realize. And yeah, one guy tries to take a shortcut and gets called out on it, and now sets the whole industry back. But yeah, I just don't think you should use that to stop you from being able to take advantage of this. But understand that you're not going to be able to blindly use what the AI creates. You're going to be able to use that as a starting point to create your own content.
Yeah, I mean, I use AI. I don't even know how to type, but I use AI. I mean, I use Chat GPT all the time. It's like, make me an outline or give me the top. Give me the top 10 things I should be talking about on this subject. What's the most important? I just I can sit there so I don't miss anything. But still, I might hit 8 out of 10, but I might miss something because I don't know what I don't know.
That's such a great example, because come up with 10 arguments for this claim, come up with an outline for how to do things, because now it's making you better. Now it's taking what you did and possibly, you're getting an argument you may not have thought of, you may not have phrased it as well, but it's adding to what you're doing. And that's the way that you have to look at it, is create me an outline. So now I can look at it and I can decide, some of those arguments aren't quite what I want, but I now have gotten a kind of a starting point. So yes, that's what I would suggest to anyone who's trying to get a start in this or just trying to understand how it works. Go into ChatGPT, pay the $20 a month if you can to get the paid version, and then say, create an outline for this motion. Give me 10 arguments to use in this scenario. Give me 10 cases that talk about X, Y, and Z. I mean, I use it all the time just for ideas. Give me blog ideas. Give me ideas for how to find new clients. I'm a small firm in Minnesota trying to find clients on for these types of cases. Give me 10 ideas for what I can do to start looking for them. Give me ideas for billboards, for ads, whatever it is. It helps get you thinking, and then you can take that and run with it.
So what do you see? I was reading something in Wall Street Journal somewhere, I don't remember, but that now they're really going out and do this big enterprise deal with the AI, like for big corporations, so that I guess so it's not shared with other, they want to keep it in-house because of security reasons.
Yeah, that's what. So, there's two real considerations there. One is that just the data that you put into ChatGPT, you need to make sure that that's secure. And, depending on what your data is going to be, if I'm saying, give me 10 ideas for how to market my law firm, that's not going to be something that's a huge concern. But if I take a client's document and I paste it in and say, read this and write me something about it. Now you have client data that's going in there, and that's going to be private and secure, and you do not want that to be getting into the wrong hands, or even just publicly available. So with ChatGPT, and that's why I recommend using a paid version where there's an option that allows you to opt out of sharing your data with them using it to train the model. So that's one element to consider, is you want to make sure that the data you're putting in is not private data unless you are using the version that would protect that data's privacy. Yeah. If you just,
that's important for our listeners to think about, because in our masterminds, I do masterminds. I got about 7 of them, and we meet 3 times a year. But when Chat GPT first came out, they were talking about, well, man, this could do my medical chronology, or man, this could write me a demand to the insurance just I just throw all the files in. And then, of course, I say, hey, how about client confidentiality? I said, you don't. I said, and then I said, so then they started redacting everything, and then feeding it. But that just takes too much time. You can do it. So what you're saying is the paid version has a switch or something, a button that you can click, and it will not put it out there for everybody else in the world to see.
Correct. So just like any service, if you're using a free service on the internet, your data is not secure. I mean, if I go to Google Translate and I paste in something, I don't have a clue what they're using it for, and it's probably not good. But so if you are putting confidential data in, you should make sure that you're doing it in a way that's keeping that data secure. Right now, the best way to do it is to use one of the enterprise versions in Azure, but for the most part, if you're using the paid version of ChatGPT with the sharing of data disabled, that should be pretty secure for all your needs.
What's the next big deal, man? What's on the horizon?
Man, the number of solutions that we have with this is just mind-blowing, where we can do so many things that we couldn't do before. Even creating timelines, putting in a bunch of documents and having it be able to generate a timeline for your issues. And I think that right now we're at a point where we are still building solutions with the existing tools we have, and there's still a lot more solutions that we can build. But the other thing is that the technology is just continues improving and getting better in so many things. And so being just flat out better at what it does is going to be something that's coming up. Being able to handle a lot of different file types, being able to have a much larger data set. So, things like I can, if I put in a larger volume of data and ask questions, what you are seeing some of those larger corporations doing, and this is something I think we're going to see more of, is with ChatGPT, you can ask it questions about anything, and it will, say, who's the president of the United States in 1922? Who's the wife of the third, mayor of Cleveland? It knows so many random facts. But what we're seeing now is those corporations, and they're building their own private versions of an LLM that allows them to answer questions about their information. So if you can imagine all of the emails that you've ever written, if you could ask questions like, find me the email where I was the most upset. Who have I been mad at? Who is my meanest client? Who's my nicest client? Who's the client? Just any question you have about your data. If you think about a large company, a Fortune 500 company, like, a Microsoft or a Google, if they can be able to just feed in their entire company's data, including all of their training manuals, all of their guides, all of their everything, and then they build a question and answer bot that can answer any question about anything that happens in their company. And you could even take that a step further for litigation, where you could say, find me instances where we are doing something that might put us at legal risk, or take this large corpus of data and tell me, is anyone being sexually harassed? Are there any people that are behaving in a way that would create a liability for us legally? So the ability to understand large volumes of data and get information from them is something that I think is going to dramatically improve over the course of the next few years, where you'll be able to feed in data sets and have it just know everything about it. Even you could take every client, that you've ever had and all of the records you've ever had, and you could say, what client had the most severe penalty, or what client had received the most jail time, or what client, did X, Y, and Z, or who, what types of clients do I seem to get along with the best, or what types of clients, or what types of cases am I best equipped to handle? And it understands your data a lot better like that. So that's something I think is going to be really cool to just understand, kind of patterns.
This enterprise, this enterprise, probably, it's like everything else in technology. It'll get cheaper as time goes on, to where the small firms or small businesses can use it.
That's the thing, is right now it takes so much computing power right now, and the GPU power is so expensive that it is something that still has a higher price point. But 5 years, 10 years down the road, this is going to be just free, or as close to free as it's going to get.
I think I read something too about NVIDIA or something. You know what I'm talking about? That company, NVIDIA.
NVIDIA, they're the ones making the GPU. So with AI, the types of machines that are best for processing AI type of things is GPU power, which is traditionally for video cards. And NVIDIA is the chip provider, or one of the main chip providers in the country. And so as you see, their stock price is just going through the roof because people can't get enough of their chips. And that's why you're seeing we've struggled over the last year with just getting access to the power that we need to be able to process things. And it's become a lot easier over the last couple of months, but it still is kind of one of those things that it's just really, really high in demand. And that's why you see their stock price just going through the roof, because everyone wants more and more power to run more and more AI stuff. And it's just a crazy arms race.
Damn. I wish I'd known about that. It's probably too late now.
I wanted to invest in AI, and I was trying to decide whether I should invest in NVIDIA, who is responsible for the chips, or Microsoft, who is largely owns 49% of OpenAI. And I put my chips in Microsoft, and it didn't do bad, but it did not do nearly as well as NVIDIA did.
All right. So if somebody wants to try this out, talk to you about it, get pricing, whatever.
Yeah, our website's eDiscoveryAI.com. You can go right on there. You can schedule a demo. Like I said, we really focus on using AI to review documents, but we're also building just any types of solutions that you can come up with where if you're trying to do something and you're, wondering if AI would be a good solution, we'd just love to talk about different problems and use cases and ways that we can solve things that weren't solvable. So I'd love to have anyone reach out with any types of questions or comments about different use cases.
All right, Jim. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.